I've been thinking about Jesus as the perfect marriage between matter and spirit, and I've been talking about John's Gospel, the perspective of John's Gospel of the divinity of Christ, and the whole Gospel is dedicated to that notion, much more than Matthew, Mark, or Luke, and also much more than some of the other Gospels that were around at the time, which saw Jesus more as a Jewish teacher full of God, who was teaching everyone else how to do the same things that he was doing. So it's a kind of, and I've wondered about any way to bring these two perspectives together. Is there a way to do it? And because I think there's a great beauty and strength to each perspective. I know in my own life, it's because I've worshipped Jesus and that I have felt that this relationship with God has begun, and I've had so many wonderful, wonderful experiences. And to me, this is priceless, and it's also built in me a desire to be my best self. I left behind some of the more blatant things that were obstacles in my life, and pushed me towards being, I hope, a better person. So I really love that perspective, but I'm really troubled by parts of that perspective. I'm troubled by to me it seems as though Christianity, without realizing it, has created a very inherent us and them. You see Jesus the right way. I mean, for some people, it's you see Jesus the right way in the communion elements, or else you're not part of us. So it creates there's something that's not beautiful about it. And then it was reading Elaine Pagels who pointed this out. She fell in love with, surprised her, but she fell in love with some of the earlier or other ancient Christian materials that saw Jesus a different way. And she said they seem to think that the way that we grow is by the image of God inside of us having its beautiful unfolding, that we become what we're supposed to be, that our salvation is that each one of us, the seeds that are inside each one of us from God's image, that they grow into what they're supposed to be, and that's what saves us, and it looks different on everybody. So there's something, to me, that seems very beautiful. But the weakness with that side, I think, is it doesn't understand the divinity of Christ the same way. So I've been trying to play in my head with, have we misunderstood what the divinity of Christ means? Is there a way that we could put them both together? Anyway, that's what I've been talking about for the last few weeks. And I've been also saying that matter and spirit, Gothic cathedrals, communion elements, sacraments, everything is a picture of matter and spirit coming together. And I think Jesus does it perfectly, because Jesus is the one who is so full, however you see him, whether you see the human part of Jesus as pre-existent, or whether you see the divine part of Jesus as pre-existent, filling the human Jesus. However you see this, what we have in Jesus is a human material who is so full of the Spirit that his heart is completely outward for others. It's like he's been turned inside out, or he is inside out. So he seems to do everything in obedience to the Father for the sake of others. And it seems like most of us have an inverse relationship with that. Most of us, it's like our lives are centered around ourselves. And they continue that way. And it just seems to be part of our condition. So to be turned outward from being inward is a remarkable gift. I think we look at human beings like Mother Teresa or Mahatma Gandhi or St. Francis. I think or Martin Luther. We look at these icons and we go, look at how they turned their lives inside out for others. And Jesus does it with such a gift that it's like this, as the scripture says, he has the Spirit without measure. He heals people. It's like the gift of God bubbles up from within him, and it comes out over his humanity and into whatever situation he's in, and brings light or truth or healing or wisdom, or it's just remarkable. So what a vision if we could learn to live like that, if we could learn to be as full. And one of the great surprises to people when they study the Gospels is that Jesus is presented as more human than you think. For instance, in Luke chapter 5, there's an episode where Jesus heals somebody with a withered hand, and there's a lot of obstacle or hassle from the Pharisees who are there, who don't like that he's healing on the Sabbath, and then Jesus just starts healing everybody, and the comment that's made by the Gospel writer is, the power of the Spirit was there. so the power to heal was there. That's the way. So the power to heal was there. And I was in a ministerial meeting once with a Pentecostal pastor who said, I must have read this passage 80 times in my life. I never saw it until I saw it today. And I realized that means Jesus is not sort of walking around as God on earth. Jesus is somebody who's dependent on whether or not the power is there if he's going to do healing. So it's like Jesus is a human cooperating with spirit. So what a beautiful thought that he is the marriage of matter and spirit. And he sets a posture that we could, that's the dream, that we will learn too. So that we'll long for transformation, so that we'll long to become our best selves, so that we'll long to be full of the fruit of the Spirit, full of love, but that we'll also be just flowing with the Spirit so that we go to the right place at the right time, so that we have the right word to say when it's needed. So that hey, Alex. Hey. So that we, so that we have, so that our prayers seem to bring help. And, what a beautiful vision this is. And I think it's doable. So I'm afraid that if we think of Jesus in too static a way, is in terms of divinity, it makes it too big a reach. We can't do what he does. But if we think of Jesus as being the human vessel who's so completely full of the Spirit that, as N.T. Wright says, you could look at him and you could honestly say, Jesus did that. Jesus, the human, did that. Or you could look and you could say, the God of the creator of the universe did that. And both would be absolutely true. Yeah.
Could he be fully human and fully divine, like Richard Rohr says?
I think that's what I'm trying to imagine that. Fully human and fully divine. And that's what the ancient church tried, that's what they figured out. I've studied so much in church history in my life that I actually am quite skeptical now about doctrine, because I see so many, every doctrine that was fought for, there are so many political desires. And so I just don't think that people nailed it down. I think people believe they nailed it down. I just don't think they accurately nailed it down. I keep thinking we are finite beings trying to understand an infinite God. God's probably bigger than us. That's my thought. So anyway, here's the scripture for today. It's at the end of chapter 1. The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee, and he found Philip, and Jesus said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter, and Philip found Nathaniel, and he said to him, "We found him of whom Moses wrote in the law, and the prophets also wrote, Jesus, the son of Joseph, from Nazareth." And Nathaniel said, "Can anything good be from Nazareth?" And Philip said, "Come and see." And Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him, and he said of him, "Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." In some versions it says, "in whom there is no guile." And Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" And Jesus answered and said to him, "Before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you." And Nathanael answered him, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." And Jesus answered and said, "Wow. Because I said to you that I saw you under the fig tree, do you believe? You will see greater things than these." And he said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." So there's a lot in this picture. It's quite beautiful, I think. It's very clearly a connection to Genesis 28. Remember when Jacob is running away because he's tricked his brother to get a birthright, and he stops and he sleeps at a place called Bethel, house of God, and he has a stone for a pillow, and he has a dream. And in the dream, he sees a ladder, and angels are ascending and descending, and the Father of all is at the top of the ladder. So Jesus is saying, really, just because I said that I saw you under the fig tree, you believe? I'm telling you, you're going to see more than that. You're going to see angels ascending and descending on me. In other words, I'm the ladder, I'm the way. So the whole book of John is going to be focused on this teaching. Now, the other thing that John is focused on is an interpretive principle. There are so many characters in this book, and some of them realize who Jesus is quicker than others. The one who is kind of the hero of this book is Nathaniel, because he sees it faster than anybody else. Nathaniel is a total bit player, has very, very little to do in the overall story, but he has this great thing that happens to him is he starts out with kind of a skeptical attitude, but the simplest word of knowledge, I saw you under the fig tree before Philip talked to you. You're the king. It's like, and it explains why. Because he has no guile, which in some understanding is self-deception. In other words, the less self-deception that you have, the better chance you have at purity of heart. And it takes purity of heart to see God. So it's like, here's the person who's set. This is kind of the hero in this gospel. Thomas is the anti-hero, because Thomas is the one who's full of doubt all the way through the gospel until he finally says, my Lord and my God, and Jesus accepts that worship. So it's so interesting to look at the various characters in John's gospel and say, how easy do they come to the light? Yeah. So that's one thing that I really value about this. But Nathaniel means gift of God. And I started thinking about it today, or last night, in a different way than I've ever thought about before. Because I've always thought about this as I've taught New Testament classes. There's the interpretive principle. Nathaniel is kind of the hidden hero of the book because he comes so easily, because he has less self-deception, apparently. So then, I started thinking, what if we always responded to God more quickly than not? What if, not just in this case, in this story with this person, but what about us? What about the situations where we need wisdom? What about the situations where we need to know which way to go? What about the situations where we need a different attitude? Like, so often Scripture is going to really hold up contentment as a great good. Contentment is. People want wealth as they approach retirement, but wealth is really, it comes in different ways, and one of the great things about wealth would be just health. Another thing would be just happiness. Another thing would be just love. Another thing would be just, home-baked bread. So, these things are worth so much, and other things sometimes that look like they're worth so much really aren't. So what if we were quick, like Nathaniel, to accept the gift of contentment from God? And Jesus would be as surprised at us as he is surprised at Nathaniel. Good job, Brian, you're happy today. Wouldn't it be cool? It'd be, because it's so easy to go the other way. It's so easy to get into a brain rot. Just complaining, dark, worry.
I remember.
Yeah.
Jogs my memory. I remember praying as a young man to be like Nathaniel, to be a man of God.
Wow.
Still haven't got there yet.
Yeah, what a beautiful journey, though. To be the ones without self-deception or deceit. To be the ones who quickly receive. Just the littlest thing, and you go, ah, God's alive. Like the time, like a month ago, when you guys were here, and this song was, first song after the service was by Sarah Groves, and I didn't know who sang it, and Julie goes, oh, I went to school with Sarah Groves. And then the second song was by Alanis Morissette. And Sean goes, I went to school with Alanis Morissette. We only had 2 songs. I was thinking, this service is brought to you for Julie and Sean. Because so many times we've seen this kind of hidden guidance system, and I love it. I think this is the beauty of God in everything we do, if we ask for God to be present, and if we start to watch and hope and make room for it. And the longing to have a pure heart, man, what a great one. And who doesn't lose that vision? But be thou my vision. Who doesn't lose that vision along the way? I sure have. But what a dream to have that vision. To be walking towards Christ-likeness, to be walking towards Nathaniel-likeness. Yeah. Anybody else got anything to say? Yep.
There will be people come back to the church.
Say what?
There will be people come back to the church here.
You think so?
I believe Sundays.
Wow. Ah. That would be nice. Oh man.
We soon could have 50%.
We're what?
We soon could have 50% if
Wow.
we hit the milestone.
Yeah.
This pandemic is everybody's scared.
Sometimes we're pan down.
And, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We still can't ride Keith's car yet.
You can?
No, we can't. You gotta have 2 shots.
Oh, once you're fully vaccinated,
You
then
gotta
you'll
be
be able,
fully vaccinated.
and then Keith will be able to take you places again.
Take the place. You gotta I can't wait till I get the other shot.
Wow. Wow. Makes sense. Well, here's the final song I thought was, I would frame around contentment. Not the final song, I have 2. This one's by Audrey Assad, and it's called I Shall Not Want. Who went to school with her? And the next one's by Coldplay. It's the joyous, you know, what did we call it? Stack full of stars. You know, some of our bands have done over the years. So let's just let's hear the first one as a call to remember to choose contentment and to build those muscles, and the second one as a celebration of God's life with us.